All right. Hi, I'd like to tell you about Whim, a new command line tool for working with web mentions that I released earlier this week. But you probably don't know what web mentions are, so I'm mainly going to talk about that instead. Webmention is a nascent web technology codified as a W3C recommendation in 2017, defining a platform-neutral method for letting one website know that another website is linked to it. Webmention came out of the indie web movement, which for the last decade or so has advocated for a reintroduction of the early web's promise of individual, interconnected authorship around what we used to call the World Wide Web, finding practical and realistic ways to apply this idealism to the web we have today. Webmention implements indie web philosophies by allowing me to publish something on my own website under my own control in response to something that you wrote someplace else on the internet, and then follow through with that by sending your site a little specialized message. That's the web mention. That lets it know that I've done so. Your website can then react to it in some appropriate fashion, such as publishing my response as a comment. It can use metadata that I've embedded on my page as hints that can help display my name or my avatar picture, or tell it more about the context of my article. Perhaps I just meant my post as a simple note of approval rather than a wordy comment, in which case your site might just increment a like counter. And this happens through an open protocol without either of us having to sign over our creative work to another company looking to turn a buck off of our audience's attention. I'll show you a couple of examples. On a page I recently posted to my personal site, all about Webmention, I have a section at the bottom where I display likes, reposts, and comments from around the internet regarding this page. Some of them come from Twitter by way of a service called Bridgie, which translates social media reactions into web mentions. That is an excellent application of IndieWeb's principle to work with the web that we have right now. And you'll notice that one mention is from myself because I linked to this page from an entry that I posted to my own Webmention-enabled blog. So this shows Webmention's ability to act as a medium for both comments and social media style reactions without relying on any closed profit-seeking service like Twitter or Discus. Here's another. Every page on the IndieWeb event sites accepts web mentions as RSVPs. So in this case, I posted a publicly visible note to my own website announcing my intent to show up at an upcoming event. And this translated into a yes, I'm going RSVP on that event's own page. This is a real event, by the way. The IndieWeb community is having its own big online summit right after the Perl conference wraps up. And you should check it out. I've been involved with this community for a couple of years, and I found them a warm and diverse crowd that welcomes web authors of every skill level and every technological background. Anyway, one more example. The website at indieweb.xyz acts as an aggregator for stories from across the web, and it's powered entirely by Webmention. My own blog syndicates its posts to this site through special links paired with Webmentions, extending the reach of my blog while still keeping all of my material on my own site at home. So yeah, I released Whim a few days ago. I wrote it in Mojo. It's on CPAN. And so's web::mention, the library it's based on. They're both probably crawling with bugs because honestly, not a whole lot of people are using Webmention just yet. But Whim does try to give you a clean command line interface to sending, receiving, managing, and displaying web mentions. All the mentions on jmac.org are entirely Whim powered right now. If any of this has piqued your interest enough to try Whim or even just Webmention for yourself, I'd love to know what you think. Everything at jmac.org/Whim has everything I just talked about. And I have a separate introductory resource page about web mentions at jmac.org/webmention. Thank you very much.